Alright, let's ditch the shoe store vibes and sneak behind the factory doors, shall we? We're diving head first into the nitty-gritty of how Asics running shoes actually get made. Forget the fancy marketing talk for a sec. We're talking nuts and bolts, or rather, threads and soles. Ever wondered how they transform a pile of raw materials into those comfy, high-tech foot rockets? Trust me, it's a wild ride of whirring machines, sticky adhesives, and maybe a few stressed-out robots. So buckle up, shoe geeks, because, well, we're about to get seriously technical. So where does a super shoe even begin? Not with magic, sadly, but with some seriously brainy folks huddled around computers, because the genesis of an Asics shoe lies in its design and the creation of its digital blueprints. Think of it as the shoe's DNA being written. Designers and engineers, fueled by probably way too much coffee, let's be honest, whipped up these crazy detailed digital blueprints. We're talking 3D models so precise you could practically build the shoe in Minecraft. They're not just making them look cool, they're obsessing over how your foot moves, how it hits the ground, and how it makes it all feel like you're bouncing on clouds, or at least trying to. They even print out pretend shoes with fancy machines to kick them around and see if their ideas actually work in the real world. If it survives that, it might just make it to your feet. Now that the blueprint is ready, it's time to feed the factory beast with all the special ingredients, marking the material procurement phase. Imagine a giant grocery store, but instead of broccoli and kale, it's rolls of high-tech fabric and vats of rubber goo. They source this stuff from all over the place, hunting down the perfect mesh that breathes just right, the fake leather that can take a beating, and the bouncy foam that makes you feel like you have springs in your heels. They put this stuff through some serious tests too, stretching it, bending it, even trying to rip it for fabric. Only the stuff that survives the torture chamber makes it to your precious sneakers. But ever wondered what makes that foam in your shoes feel bouncier than your neighbor's trampoline? Well, the secret might surprise you. With the materials vetted and ready, the process moves on to cutting-edge techniques for precision slicing and dicing of these components. Time for some fun with lasers. Seriously, they use lasers, freaking lasers. Giant robotic arms wield laser beams to slice through the fabric like butter. These lasers are so precise, they can cut out the most insane shapes without even, singeing the edges. Other machines use super sharp blades that follow computer-generated patterns, ensuring every piece is exactly the same. Messing this up is a big no-no, because if the pieces don't fit, you'll end up with a Frankenstein shoe, and nobody wants that. But what happens if even one piece is cut slightly off? Does the whole shoe get scrapped, or is there, say a plan B? Well, stay tuned. Having precisely cut all the necessary components, the factory moves to the Stitchcraft sorcery stage, where the upper of the shoe begins to take shape through careful assembly. Time for some hardcore sewing action. Forget your grandma's sewing kit, we're talking industrial strength machines that can stitch through layers of tough fabric like it's nothing. Skilled operators with fingers faster than a hummingbird's wings guide the pieces through these machines, creating the shoe's upper, the cozy sock-like part that hugs your foot. They use different stitching patterns for different areas, reinforcing stress points to prevent those dreaded blowouts mid-run, you know what I mean? Think of it as textile origami, but with needles and thread instead of paper. One wrong stitch and the whole thing could unravel, which could be a major fashion faux pas. Let's now shift our focus to the soulful creations, where the magic of cushioning and support is literally molded into existence. Let's get down to the shoe's foundation, the sole. This is where the real engineering wizardry happens. They take this goopy stuff, think, melted mushrooms, but tougher, and inject it into molds under crazy high pressure. It's like a giant Play-Doh factory. but the results are way more technical. For those super bouncy midsoles, they might use special foams with secret ingredients or even inject little pockets of air or gel. The outsole, the grippy bit that, hits the ground, gets the same treatment, molded with all those cool patterns that stop you from slipping. Getting the temperature and pressure just right is crucial, otherwise you might just end up with a sole that's either too hard or too squishy. Goldilocks would be proud. This intricate process ensures that each step you take is cushioned and supported, tailored to the demands of running. With both the upper and the sole now formed, the moment arrives for them to become one, entering the marrying the parts phase, if you will, often referred to as bonding time. Now for the big moment, uniting the upper and the sole. Did you know that the glue they use for this part could probably hold together an actual car? Yeah, let's see how it works. It's like a shoe wedding, but with more glue and less crying. Hopefully, they slather this super strong adhesive. Seriously, this stuff could probably hold a car together onto both parts. Then a machine presses them together with Hulk-like force. This process, called lasting, involves stretching the upper around a foot-shaped mold to ensure a snug fit. They have to get it just right, otherwise you'll end up with weird bumps and blisters, and, well, nobody wants grumpy feet. The precise application of pressure and adhesive ensures a bond that can withstand the rigors of intense athletic activity. Having been united, the shoe now faces its final examination during the finishing line procedures, a quality control frenzy designed to catch any imperfections. Almost there, time for the shoe equivalent of a beauty pageant, but with way more scrutiny. Every single shoe gets eyeballed by eagle-eyed inspectors. They're looking for those loose threads, glue splatters, crooked stitching, anything that doesn't meet Asics' ridiculously high standards. It's like a forensic investigation for footwear. If a shoe doesn't pass the test, it's either sent back for repairs or sadly gets the boot. Pun intended. Only the creme de la creme makes it to your eager feet. This rigorous process guarantees that every shoe leaving the factory is worthy of the Asics name. Finally, the flawlessly crafted sneakers are ready for packing up the goodies, preparing their journey to eager athletes worldwide. The final pit stop is packaging. Each perfect pair gets nestled into its own little cardboard home, often with some paper stuffing to keep its shape. Then those individual boxes get packed into bigger boxes, ready for their journey to stores around the globe. It's like a mass departure of tiny shoe houses. And get this, the boxes themselves are designed to be tough because nobody wants their brand new sneakers arriving looking like they've been through a war zone. This careful packaging ensures that the shoes arrive in pristine condition, ready to perform. But what if I tell you that the perfect shoe isn't meant to look perfect? Is there a reason Asics would make new shoes look worn? Well, let's explore that idea. Now, here's the funny little secret you might not expect about the shoemaking process. Sometimes, even though the shoes are fresh off the line, they intentionally make them look a little worn, marking the implementation of the artful Dodger look, Yeah, you heard that right. They might gently scuff the soles or distress the upper, all on purpose. It's like pre-ripped jeans, but for, your feet. It's a stylistic thing for certain models, giving them that cool, I've already run a marathon in these vibe. It takes a surprising amount of skill to make something look authentically worn without just making it look like a factory reject. So yeah, there you have it. The epic saga of how an Asics running shoe is born. It's a wild blend of high-tech machinery, skilled craftsmanship, and a surprising amount of attention to detail. But wait, don't leave yet. Now that we've laced up and sprinted through the Asics factory, let's switch gears entirely and satisfy that inevitable craving, shall we? We're trading high-performance footwear for high-deliciousness cookies as we sneak into the top-secret world of Oreo manufacturing. Forget precision stitching. We're talking precise layering of chocolate wafers and creamy filling. Ever wondered how those iconic black and white discs come to be, ready for the twist, lick, and dunk? Prepare for a sugary expedition filled with colossal mixers, rivers of white cream, and enough cookies to fuel a small nation. So where does the magic of an Oreo begin? Not in a fairy tale, but in a massive pantry, stocked with enough ingredients to make your dentist shudder. The journey starts with gathering the building blocks of the beloved cookie, which is essentially a symphony of flour, sugar, oil, and of course, that dark, decadent cocoa powder that gives Oreos their signature hue. And let's not forget the star of the show, the creamy filling, a blend of sugar, oil, and those top secret flavorings that make an Oreo an Oreo. They don't just have a few bags of flour lying around. We're talking about mountains of the stuff, delivered in trucks that probably need their own zip codes. Imagine the sheer volume of sugar needed to satisfy the world's Oreo addiction. It's probably visible from space. With the raw materials standing by, it's time for the great blending to commence. The flour, sugar, cocoa, and other dry ingredients are dumped into colossal mixers, industrial-sized versions of the ones you might have at home, but capable of handling enough dough to make a giant cookie the size of a car. Water's added in precise amounts, and then these enormous churn and whir, transforming the individual powders into a small, homogeneous mass of Oreo dough. Getting the consistency just right is crucial. Too dry and you get crumbly sadness. Too wet and you get a sticky situation. It's a delicate dance of ratios and mixing times, orchestrated by people who probably dream in cookie dough. Once the dough reaches that perfect, almost hypnotizing swirl, it's time to give it shape. The iconic round shape we all know and love. The dough is fed into machines that flatten it into a giant continuous sheet like a never-ending carpet of chocolate goodness. Then, just like using a cookie cutter on a holiday baking spree, machines stamp out those perfect circular forms. It's a mesmerizing ballet of metal and dough, with rows upon rows of identical cookie discs marching along a conveyor belt. These machines are so efficient they can pump out thousands of cookie shapes per minute, a truly awe-inspiring sight for any, carb enthusiast. The perfectly shaped cookie discs then embark on a fiery voyage through a massive oven, a glowing tunnel of heat that transforms the soft dough into crisp, delectable wafers. Imagine a conveyor belt stretching as far as the eye can see, carrying these soon-to-be Oreos through carefully controlled zones of heat. The baking process is a science with precise temperatures and timing crucial for achieving that signature snap and avoiding any biscuity sogginess. It's a delicate balance. Little too time and you have undercooked disappointment. Too much and you're looking at burnt offerings. Skilled bakers monitor this process probably with more intensity than they watch their favorite sports teams. But have you ever wondered how Oreo ensures every single cookie gets the perfect amount of filling? While the cookies are cooling down from their oven adventure, attention turns to the creation of that legendary melt-in-your-mouth creamy filling. Giant stainless steel vats become the stage for this sugary alchemy where sugar, oil, and the secret blend of flavorings are combined in precise proportions. Massive mixers turn this concoction, whipping air into the mixture to achieve that light and fluffy texture that perfectly complements the crisp wafers. The consistency is key here too. It needs to be thick enough to stay put, but smooth enough to provide that satisfying creaminess. It's a closely guarded recipe, probably locked away in a vault somewhere, seriously. Protected by laser grids and guarded by pastry chefs with black belts in frosting application. Yeah, now for the moment we've all been waiting for. The grand union of the chocolate wafer and the creamy filling. The culinary equivalent of a perfect handshake. The cooled cookie wafers are fed into sophisticated machines that perform this delicate operation with incredible speed and precision. One machine deposits a perfect dollop of the white filling onto the center of a wafer, and then with a gentle nudge, another wafer is placed on top, creating the iconic Oreo sandwich. It's a synchronized work of gears and levers and a high-speed process of biscuit and cream. These machines are so efficient they can assemble hundreds of Oreos per minute, a testament to the marvels of modern food engineering. Imagine the pressure on the robot arm designed to precisely place that top wafer. And here's a little known fact that might just blow your mind. Did you know that the process of making and filling an Oreo happens so quickly that the cream is often still slightly warm when the cookie is fully assembled? This rapid fire production ensures maximum freshness and that delightful melt in your mouth sensation. It's a testament to the sheer efficiency of the operation, a seamless flow from raw ingredients to finished cookie in what seems like a blink of an eye. It's a secret weapon in the Oreo arsenal, a subtle detail that contributes to that irresistible Oreo experience. Finally, the perfectly formed Oreos embark on their last leg of the journey: packaging. They travel along conveyor belts to machines that carefully arrange them into those familiar sleeves or trays, ensuring they're snug and secure for their trip to the store. Then those neatly packed rows of Oreos are whisked away to be sealed in their iconic packaging, ready to be stacked on shelves and ultimately find their way into your eager hands. It's the final act in the Oreo saga, ensuring that these delicious treats arrive in perfect condition, ready for that satisfying twist, lick, and dunk. So there you have it, the jaw-dropping details of how an Oreo is made, a testament to the power of mass production and a whole lot of sugary goodness. From humble ingredients to the iconic black and white sandwich, it's a fascinating journey. And hopefully you're now equipped with some impressive knowledge for your next cookie break. You know what else we would love besides, a good bite and dunk of an Oreo? You subscribing to our channel and hitting that like button. And yeah, we're really eager to know how you feel about this video, so make sure you drop a comment. And in case you feel impatient for the next one, you can check out the other videos on our channel. They surely won't disappoint. See you there.